Okay, so moving on, we're gonna go to the Almond Crusted Salmon Cake with a Yogurt Avocado Dip.
So we're throwing this beautiful fish into a food processor. You can do this by hand as well if you don't have a food processor.
Just another good thing about this recipe is you can throw everything in the food processor. If you don't want to cut up your vegetables like we have here, you can pulse your salmon and throw in your vegetables, get them into a nice finely dice. So with the salmon, we're just gonna pulse it. There we go.
And it's important not to over pulse it. You don't want to turn it into like a paste.
Fish paste.
Yeah, it's not as pleasant on the palate. So just until it breaks up a little bit.
And then just put it into your bowl.
Could you chop it instead?
You can definitely do it. Yes, definitely do it by hand. You can get like more of a coarser cut out of it. Absolutely.
You can even use cooked salmon. If you have leftover salmon in your fridge and you want to make this recipe, you can definitely do that. You just flake the cooked salmon into the bowl and then add your vegetables. And it's basically
sometimes canned salmon.
Oh yeah,
when it
definitely.
goes on sale, that would be a good way to use it.
Okay. So we've got some capers. They're a nice addition to the salmon, so put those in there. Then we've got some red pepper, some green onion, and zucchini. And with the zucchini, you can just use a grater like we did in the root vegetable slaw. Just grate it, but grate it onto a paper towel because you want to get rid of that excess moisture. So we're just going to mix everything together.
And this as well, I mean, we chopped this ahead of time. You can just throw big chunks of the pepper and the onion, zucchini right into the food processor after you pulse the salmon. We're mixing it together anyways. It's a good idea to do it separately though, because a lot of the water that comes out of there will just waterlog that fish. So if there's anything...
Fish likes that though. No,
yeah. We took it out of the water.
Natural habitat.
Keep it out of the water.
So we also want to add some dill. That'll give it a nice flavor. Dill pairs really nice with fish, especially salmon. So you can use parsley, any type of fresh herb. We'll just give this a nice chop. So we also want to add an egg because this is going to help bind it.
It's so colorful already.
Yeah, it's a good thing about all these dishes that they're so colorful. It makes it a lot more appetizing to eat. So I'm going to hand this over to Jeremy now. He's going to form the salmon cakes. So what I recommend doing is you're going to have a parchment paper lined baking tray, which I'm sure Christy will agree that cooking with parchment paper is better than having to oil your pan. So it's definitely good. So I would
dishes
use
too. You don't want to be
dishes.
doing
Yes.
I thought you were going to say because Christy doesn't like to do dishes or clean up. And I was like, that's fair. No.
So you could use an ice cream scoop or a spoon. You can even use your hands, and I would just scoop them out onto the tray all at once, and then you can use your hands to flatten them, and then we're going to use the almond crust. So how to make the almond crust is you just put everything in the food processor. So you have your whole almonds, you have your lime zest and some salt. Just grind it up until it reaches like a breadcrumb consistency, and then you're just going to, we are going to put it on the top. But if you want to dredge the whole thing in a crust, you can definitely do that. And if you don't have almonds on hand, you can use breadcrumbs. You can use whatever you want. So I'm going to give this over to Jeremy, and he's going to flatten them, and then he's going to put the almond crust on top.
The reason we just put it on the top too is we just felt it was enough of that crispy, of that crunch, and it wasn't like too much. That way you can still taste the salmon and the vegetables and everything inside.
And it looks pretty moist if you tried to like roll it in the almonds. It might end up getting a little bit messier.
Yeah, but I mean you can definitely do it that way.
Okay, so I'm sure Jeremy has shown you this trick before, but people who haven't been here yet, this is a great avocado trick. So what you got to do is just slice it down along the edge, and then you're just going to turn it. Put it out on your cutting board, and you want to get the pit out. And it's really slimy, so it's hard to grab. So just take your knife and be very careful. Just hit it like that. Turn your knife, And there you go.
That's a life-changing move. Right there. Have your friends over, make some guacamole, and impress.
Perfect. So then you're just going to take the avocado. You can just squeeze it right in there. No mess. Maybe a little bit of mess.
Depends how hard you squeeze. All right. Avocado is also rich in vitamin E, which is an antioxidant, very helpful for heart health as well. And there's been a lot of controversy in the media about saturated fats versus other types of fat and whether we should be cutting down on them. Now, here we're going for yogurt. This is just a 2% fat yogurt. You can get ones that are higher in fat based on your goals.
Okay, so what I did there was I just added some Greek yogurt, and then I added some dill, and then some lime juice. And what you can also do is add the lime zest. What I did was use the lime zest from the lime, and I put it in the crust for the salmon cakes. So
Multiple uses.
yeah,
for the lime.
definitely.
I use lemon instead of lime.
You can use lemon, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just gonna give this over to Christy, and she's gonna mix up the rest of
Whip
it.
it up.
It's okay to still
There's
have.
no lid on that one.
I'm not supposed to. Okay.
It's okay to have a little bit of chunk. So if you want it completely smooth, you could throw it in the food processor or the blender, but I like mine to be a little bit chunky. Okay.
So here we have
you.
Kellyanne's Almond Crusted Salmon Cakes.
Delicious.
Those are beautiful.
And these are like mini ones that we did.
You can make them whatever size you want, but
you
I've
could have them as sliders. I love that.
yeah.
Exactly.
They're a great appetizer, or add them to a salad. This would freeze great too.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can freeze it. You can freeze it before you cook it, if you want, or after, and then just warm it up. I try not to cook fish twice. I just don't like the taste of it. So if you can make the patties, freeze it on a big tray, and then store them in like a little Ziploc after they're frozen solid, and then cook them through from frozen when you make them.
Perfect. And there you go. There's your almond crusted salmon cake. Question?